That small metallic clink as the trolley coin locks into place is strangely satisfying. It feels deliberate, almost ceremonial, like you've passed a test of common sense before you've even entered the shop. You're not here to be dazzled. You're here to be efficient. You're here because you're sensible with money. When the automatic doors slide open and you step into Aldi, the space feels calm, stripped back, rational. No music, no chaos, no unnecessary choices. Everything about the environment quietly tells you the same thing. This is not excess. This is discipline. That feeling is the first thing Aldi sells you, and it's the most powerful product in the building. Aldi UK doesn't rely on bright branding or endless variety. It relies on trust. The trust that comes from European heritage, from the idea that if something is simple and regulated, it must also be wholesome. British shoppers are particularly vulnerable to this logic. We've been trained to believe that if food is legal under UK and EU standards, then it's automatically safe, balanced, and somehow closer to how things should be. Aldi understands this psychology perfectly. They don't push against regulation. They don't try to cheat it. They simply operate as close to the minimum acceptable standard as possible, every single time. And they do it with extraordinary precision. This is where the illusion begins to crack, because there is a wide gap between food that is allowed and food that is optimal. Legality creates a baseline, not a gold standard. Within that baseline exists an enormous range of quality, sourcing, processing, and nutritional value. Aldi lives at the bottom end of that range by design, not by accident. Efficiency is the product. Everything else is negotiable. Take something as ordinary as bread. Not the dramatic American examples people argue about online, but the everyday sliced loaf that quietly ends up in millions of UK homes. It doesn't go stale quickly. It doesn't develop that dry, crumbly texture that older generations remember. It stays soft, pliable, and oddly resilient long past the point where bread made from flour, water, yeast, and salt naturally would. That softness feels comforting. It feels like value. But softness is not a sign of quality. It's a sign of intervention. Emulsifiers and dough conditioners exist to make poor flour behave better than it should. Shelf life extenders slow the natural process of aging so that bread survives transport, storage, and prolonged display without obvious deterioration. None of this is illegal. None of it is rare. But it represents a quiet shift away from food as a living product and toward food as a manufactured object. Real bread changes over time. Industrial bread resists change. One feels familiar. The other feels convenient. This same philosophy repeats across the store, particularly in the ready meal section. Aldi's chilled and frozen meals are famous for punching above their weight. They taste rich, comforting, surprisingly indulgent for the price. But that indulgence isn't coming from slow cooking, careful seasoning, or generous ingredients. It comes from formulation. Salt amplifies flavor. Fat carries it. Sugar rounds it off. Starches create body. Yeast extract fills in the gaps where real depth would normally exist. The result is food that feels satisfying in the moment, but offers very little beyond that immediate sensory reward. What you're responding to isn't nourishment, it's stimulation. The body doesn't easily distinguish between flavor created by time and flavor created by chemistry. It just registers pleasure. Aldi's success lies in how cheaply that pleasure can be manufactured. This becomes even more obvious in products marketed as virtuous. Low-fat yogurts that somehow remain thick and creamy. High-protein snacks that resemble confectionery more than food. Cereals wrapped in words like balance, energy, and fiber. When fat is removed, something else must replace the texture and mouthfeel that fat provides. That replacement is rarely more milk, more fruit, or more grain. It's usually a network of thickeners, stabilizers, and bulking agents designed to mimic richness without delivering it. These products aren't designed to nourish the body so much as to reassure the mind. They allow you to feel responsible while consuming something that has been heavily re-engineered to maintain appeal at a lower cost. It's not that they're uniquely harmful, it's that they quietly train you to accept imitation as normal. Look closely, and you'll see the same cost logic in the fats Aldi uses throughout its range. Rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, blended vegetable oils appear again and again, not because they're superior, but because they are cheap, shelf-stable, and easy to work with at scale. Over time, they displace traditional fats, not through malice, but through accounting. When margins are tight, nuance disappears. The cheapest functional option wins. The body doesn't get a vote. Even the produce aisle, often treated as a safe zone, reflects this system. Fruit and vegetables are moved quickly, stored efficiently, and selected for appearance over resilience. Some items spoil almost immediately, having already burned through much of their lifespan before reaching your kitchen. Others linger unnaturally, drying out rather than rotting. Speed, coatings, and storage conditions all play a role. Again, nothing illegal, nothing dramatic, just a system optimized for logistics rather than eating. Then there's the middle aisle, the place everyone jokes about and secretly anticipates. The rotating specials, the odd tools, gadgets, and home items that appear briefly and vanish. This is where Aldi's understanding of human behavior becomes impossible to ignore. Scarcity creates urgency. Limited availability creates desire. Even disciplined shoppers feel the pull. You didn't come in for a pressure washer or a novelty lamp, but the possibility that you might never see it again makes the decision feel meaningful. Most of these items are cheap to produce, cheap to ship, and cheap to replace. They generate margins without generating attachment. The value is psychological, not practical. All of this adds up to a single, quiet truth. Aldi UK isn't lying to you. It's simply not telling you the whole story. The minimalist design, the European framing, the calm efficiency. They encourage you to stop asking questions, to trust that low price and clean presentation equal honesty. But honesty in retail isn't about what's shown. It's about what's normalized. The danger isn't in shopping at Aldi. The danger is in shopping anywhere on autopilot, in believing that regulation equals quality, that simplicity equals virtue, and that saving money at the till doesn't create costs elsewhere. Aldi offers efficiency. It offers affordability. It offers consistency. What it doesn't offer is food designed with anything other than cost, scale, and shelf life as the primary goals. That trolley coin feels like control. But real control comes from awareness. And awareness only begins when you stop mistaking minimalism for integrity and start paying attention to what efficiency quietly leaves behind.